if you're trying to remove blank or trailing spaces from cells in your Excel spreadsheet, it can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're dealing with spaces that sometimes aren't common or blanks that aren't just the usual blank space in Excel. So I'm gonna show you what I mean here. So here I've got a list of names, and I'm gonna use two functions, clean and trim, to remove move empty spaces. So here's going to be a column for my clean and trim. So my data that's been cleaned and trimmed. So I'm going to use the clean function to select this value. And then I'm going to use the trim function as well. And on top of that, I'll use another clean function just to really try to get everything and see how that works. So right now, it may not be easy to tell that there's blank spaces here, but let's do a check here. And an easy way to check, especially if we've got a trailing space, is just using the right function. So if I select the right function, I can see that the last character is a blank. It doesn't show the letter E, so I know that there's a blank there. So all these values contain some sort of a blank space at the end. So how do we get around this? So the key thing to making this work is by determining the character code that's at the end. So what I can do in this case is use the Unicode function, and this is going to return the code corresponding to the first character of the text. So I'm going to take this value, this text value again, and I'm going to put that within the right function. And so if I don't specify the number of characters, it's just going to get the rightmost character. So it tells me the character code for that is 8192. Whatever this last value here, and actually I'll insert another column just to show what it looks like just by copy and pasting this over as values. So if I go in here, we can see we've got a character in there. Here we've got some spaces in there. So it's hard to tell what these are. It's not just replacing these blank spaces. There's some odd characters in there. So by using this Unicode function, I can say, okay, take that rightmost value and tell me what that character code is. Now there might be other blanks, but this will give me the rightmost character. So I'm going to copy this down, and those are the different character codes in there. So now what I'm going to do to get rid of those values is I'm going to use another function. This time I'm going to use the substitute function. So the substitute function is going to take this text value here, and for the old text, I'm going to use UNICHAR. So I'm again going to use that Unicode character, except this time I'm specifying what that is. So to determine what it was, I had to use Unicode, but to actually return the character that I want to use, I'm using UNICHAR. And so I've got that. And for my new text, I'm just going to put a blank value in here. So it's going to replace all those instances where this character code 8192 showed up in this value here. So now I'm going to paste this down again and do the same thing. So now what I can do is I can do another check here for the value. Let's say copy and paste this as values. All right. And if we go in here, I don't see a space anymore. Don't see a space. So let's do a check again. And let's get the rightmost value here. And in this case, we've got the letters there, right? So this is correct. Before, I was seeing blank values. So now I can see N is the last character in this cell, which is what I'd expect to see. As for this one, or for here. Now for this value here, it's the value at the beginning. So in this case, the leftmost value. So to clean this one, I'm going to have to find out what that value is. So let's clean this one a little bit further. Let's find that leftmost value in here and use my Unicode function to get that value. So that's what that is. So if I want to clean this one as well, I'm going to do the same thing as I did here, where I've got right here, I've got the substitute function, so I can copy that and apply the same sort of logic here. So I got that substitute function. This time I'm going to get this value and use this text. And so if I do that, now it looks like we've got that space gone. I don't see that value at the beginning. So now if I've used the left function, I have the D. I don't have that blank value, so got rid of that. So that's how we can go around and figure out what these character codes are, because that's going to be the best, most efficient way to get rid of this, because you can try all these variations of clean and trim functions on all these different ways to get rid of blank values, but there's going to be situations where it's going to be something that's really hard to figure out what it is without trying to use those right functions, those left functions, to figure out what's at the beginning and the end of that text. And then by using a combination of first finding out what that value is, what that code is, using the Unicode function, and then replacing it with the unichar function. So again, unicharacter function. And so we're referencing that value here, replacing it with two quotes. So it's an empty value. So I'm removing it. And by doing it that way, that is the most definitive way to remove these blank values that, they look blank, but they're slightly different than just an empty space. And that's where the clean and trim functions can fail. So by using the substitute function with the combination of the Unicode, unichar function, you can get precisely what those character values are and then remove them doing it that way.